edition of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. We have a special guest, Breezy, here today talking with us about Freud's psychoanalytic theory. Breezy, can you tell us a little bit about the theory and what makes you so interested in it?
So the theory is really about people and how their development from young childhood is affecting their personality and who they are today. And it really looks at the unconscious and those levels of not knowing how you are today, but for some reason you got there.
So it's kind of taking you beneath the surface and exposing those aspects of yourself that may not come up, or at least may not have awareness around.
Yeah, there's very little awareness on maybe from your ages 1 to 5.
Right.
Not a lot of people are aware of what happened from the young years, but this theory is really about exposing your thoughts and exposing the personality that's developed from those young years and what happened to you and how your parents raised you. So.
Yeah, I think I might remember my 5-year-old birthday party. I'm pretty sure we had ballerina costumes on, but that's about all I can remember. So that makes a lot of sense. But I'm sure, like, my parents, I was engaged in a relationship with them and could talk and was learning things. So I can see how going back to some of that might be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What do you kind of see when you look at the client and counselor relationship within the theory?
So when you look at the relationship, you don't necessarily put an emphasis on that relationship. It's not hugely important. The counselor, while they're like warm and friendly, they don't really talk about their personal life. They don't bring any of themselves into it. They want the entire relationship to be about the client.
So I don't get to know you.
No.
Dang.
Not at all. It's actually you don't want them to know you at all whatsoever because you want transference to eventually happen.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit more about transference?
Yeah. So Freud believed that a lot of what happened to you in the past resulted in unresolved issues in your unconscious. So if your mom wasn't necessarily caring or might have done something, even something small, it could have affected your personality in some sort of way that you're not aware of. So what he wanted to happen was a blank slate so that any of these unresolved issues can come forward and be transferred onto the counselor or the therapist. So if you have anger issues towards your father, but you're not necessarily aware of it, you might eventually start to become angry towards the counselor and the therapist wants to really explore those issues.
So the therapist would then reflect that thought process.
Yeah, and transference is a great thing because it helps you resolve those unresolved issues and feelings that you had.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. So I guess one other question. I know that dream association or dream analysis and free association are pretty important aspects of the theory. Can you tell me a little bit about how those work in the counseling process?
Yeah, so free association is anything that the client wants to talk about or bring up. So they need to feel free and feel comfortable talking about anything that may have come up in their lives currently, in the past, memories that they may have, dreams usually come up, etc. So it's really to allow the unconscious to kind of peek its head out.
Okay.
Through free association, because they're just sitting there talking about anything they want to talk about, and it lets the therapist see what the person's like, their personalities. Dream analysis, Freud believed that the unconscious was essentially free in dreams and really able to express itself in ways that we don't necessarily understand, but we can try to interpret and apply. So a lot of people assumed that when Freud did a dream analysis, he would immediately go to sexual issues, unresolved feelings towards parents, etc., and push the boundary of, well, you have sexual feelings towards your mother, etc. But really, Freud, towards his later years, did more, I guess, less crazy dream analysis, where it made more sense and it was really more applicable. And he actually, fun fact, fans would send him letters in all the time describing their dreams, and he wouldn't even charge for it. Him or somebody who studied closely underneath him would write back and with their analysis. And I got a chance to read one of the letters that he wrote back, the conversation, and so it was a really nice experience. And it wasn't anything like you have sexual feelings, latency, da 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 da. No, it was a woman who was said in her dreams she was sitting on her porch, and there were rocking chairs, and her parents were there, and she couldn't leave the porch. And he said, you know, you're having issues, letting go, and that's okay, and it's normal, and you know, you're afraid of getting married because you don't want to leave your parents. And you know, that's understandable, and that's okay. So it was a really nice letter to see that side of Freud that we don't normally get to see.
That personal side. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to send you some dreams so you can analyze them for me. How's
Okay, I will try.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk about psychoanalytic. Are there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, Freud honestly had a really interesting personality, and I think that he had a lot of fun too. People think he's really serious, but if you even look up some of his quotes, he's just a really funny guy. Like, he has a good sense of humor, for sure.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, thanks for another edition of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. We'll see you next time. Shay, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're here for another session of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. Yay!
Yay!
And I hear that you are here with some questions today.
I am.
Yeah, so what are you here to explore?
I want to talk about psychodynamic theory.
Okay.
If we could start, I kind of want to know some differences between psychodynamic and psychoanalytic. I'm kind of getting them confused.
Yeah. And just for a little bit of background, my understanding is you're a newer therapist, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Just started this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to have you. And yeah, so you're curious about the differences between psychodynamic and
I am.
Yeah, that's a big question. So psychodynamic came from and is inspired by psychoanalytic. So you can kind of think of it as like the modern version.
Okay.
Within that, there's quite a few little nuanced differences. for instance, the frequency of the meetings. Traditional psychoanalytic theory would have you meet maybe 2 to 3 times a week and consistently for a long term until the therapist decides that transference has totally been eliminated and there's resolution of all of the past experiences. Whereas psychodynamic, on the other hand, it you might meet once a week, kind of traditional, still a long-term setting because you're trying to gain awareness of a past experience and how that influences the client's present reality.
Okay.
Yeah. So another little key difference is that Freud had a large focus on power and instinct, whereas more modern psychodynamic focuses have the idea that attachment and relationships are the foundation of a person's life, and mental health kind of stems from there. And when those go awry, there might be more issues.
So psychodynamic is a little more modernized then?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, a little more applicable, and just with our modern sense of time and busyness, I think might be a little more applicable today.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
What about a few of the central beliefs of psychodynamic?
Great question. So one of the biggest things is there's specific reasons for why people feel and behave, and you want to come in and kind of figure out that why question. At times there are thoughts and beliefs and feelings in the unconscious that come up, and so you want to be able to explore that with your client, and then that the past events matter in their life.
They do matter. Okay.
Yeah, and so kind of working with all 3 of those things, you can also kind of pull together where their pain is really coming from and find their source. Like, are they repeating patterns throughout their past? And another central aspect is that there's a huge power in the client-therapist relationship.
Okay.
You really want to create a space for empathy and emotions to really come up presently so that you can explore their sources. And then last, successful treatment must incorporate both the cognitive and the affective processing of the experience. So looking at where that mindset came from originally, and then how to make a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. You mentioned that past is important.
Yeah.
So I actually do have a client, and I kind of have a question about it. I was seeing a woman, and for a couple sessions, and she just started talking a lot about her husband and some issues they're having. And I'm noticing that it sounds a lot similar to things she said about her dad and their relationship.
Yeah.
So with psychodynamic, would that be something I pay attention to then? Her past?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll want to start looking for, obtaining a good history is a great way to start, which it sounds like you have a little bit. You've paid attention to her past relationships with her parents, and maybe if there's other relationships or experiences that you can kind of start to notice any kind of patterns, and then you can kind of work from there.
Okay.
Yeah, does that kind of answer
It
the
does,
question?
yeah. And I haven't asked about any other past relationships, so I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, insight tends to be really important, but it's kind of a later part of the process. Get some of that past stuff and help. Sometimes the clients just come in with a lot of emotions, or they're trying to focus on their presenting that they came in with. And so insight might be something that you can kind of work into, and that's one of the benefits of the long haul of the sessions where you're building that rapport and working for a long time to build that relationship. And that's where you'll get to notice too if she has any core beliefs within herself that are impacting, like for instance, her worldview, or in psychodynamic they call it pathogenic beliefs, but where it's kind of like versions of her story that she's understanding.
The way she's understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Other little things that you'll notice in practice is resistance or avoidance. Those are things that you can kind of look at. Maybe she hasn't told you about a past experience or relationship because there's some resistance to draw that parallel for herself. Or if she's showing up late, there's different things that can mean, but you can kind of work together to explore those. And then transference is also of this theory as well, where she might, especially as you're starting to dig into those past things, she might start to establish some anger towards you if that's something that came up for her and her family, things like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. This was super helpful.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you were able to join us here today. Any further questions for you?
I think for now that's all I was able to come up with, but
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for another version of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table.
Thank you.
Welcome to Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. Today, we're here with Adler's assistant, Kelsey, and she is here to convince all of you young therapists out there why this theory is the absolute best.
Thanks for having me. That's right, Blair. Adlerian, while an older theory, has held its seat as one of the most foundational theories in the business.
Wow. Can't wait. Can you really tell me how this theory stands out?
Yeah, of course. You know, many theories view the client through a lens of their problems, but Adlerian, the counselor, is there to support, encourage, and provide hope for the client. We all want to belong, you know, and that's usually displayed through our social relationships. Maladjustment typically occurs when a person feels inferior and they withdraw, move back, stand still, hesitate, and construct obstacles.
So can you tell me the goals of therapy as you see it?
Absolutely. The primary goal is to establish a good client-counselor relationship while uncovering the lifestyle dynamics of the client. This could include goals, family constellation, childhood beliefs, illness, and basic mistakes of the client's overview. Our work is really about reorientation, understanding, and insight.
Man, that's wonderful. I heard a quote once from Adler. Meanings are not determined by our situations, but we are determined ourselves by the meanings we give to situations. It seems like a lot is determined by choice.
Absolutely. This theory stance is that behavior is learned and it's more a conscious process than, say, my friend Freud. We want to look at the problem and how it was created, and then the client can reframe from there. This can be done by a few steps. The first being self-concept, asking the question, who am I? The self-ideal, what should I be in order to have a place in the world? The world view, how do I see the world? Ethics, one's personal code of right and wrong.
That's so interesting. It sounds like relationships really matter for the client and how one views systems.
Definitely. Most importantly, developing friendships, loving relationships, and a meaningful career are the foundational life tasks. And it sure is exciting to see a young counselor so passionate.
Oh, geez, thanks so much. Is there any other additional considerations you want us to know about?
Well, from the words of Dumbledore, one of my favorite people, it's not our abilities that show what we truly are, it's our choices.
That's so insightful. Thank you for joining us today for another edition of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
So today we're going to be managing our client's fear on a rock climb. We'll be using positive reinforcement. For every pitch she climbs, she's been promised a puppy or a horse. And throughout the day, we will be using intermittent positive reinforcement, such as cookies, brownies, possibly bananas, to further improve that positive reinforcement.
Good deal. Where are we climbing?
Montana.
Beautiful day. Hello.
Reed's
sir.
getting real exposed on some pine needles.
Hi, I'm the client.
That's really cheesy. We've reached the first ledge. And there's no ponies. But we did feed her some food, and we got a smile out of her. She shakes her head and pretends like she's not actually having fun, but she is.
We have successfully made it down. It's almost dark. But now we have to still cross the river and make it back. But I do believe that my positive reinforcement today really helped with my fear. What do you think, Reed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, that's all. Good morning and welcome to another version of Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. This morning we'll be going over CBT, Cognitive Behavior Therapy, and this was created by Dr. Beck. And yeah, we're just going to go through a couple of or actually all 9 of the cognitive distortions. So yeah, just to start us off here, we've got the all, and these are examples as a student for counselors typically. Maybe some of the cognitive distortions that have been represented this season so far. So all or nothing thinking. If I don't get an A on my skills final, I'll never be a counselor. It's just not going to happen. Selective abstraction. Well, my group member, she confronted me yesterday, and I'm really hard on myself. Person, it's just who I am. Overgeneralization. My boyfriend dumped me, and I think all men are evil. Mind reading. He gave me that look. You're too fat. Magnification and minimization. I recently just crashed my mountain bike, and I twisted my ankle. It's hard to walk or bike, but I'm fine. I think I'll race next weekend. Yeah. Personalization. Every time I fail at a test, the Bobcats lose a football game. It's just a fact. Negative prediction. I got a good grade on my midterm, but that won't last. I bet I'll fail the final. Labeling and mislabeling. I'm a procrastinator because I didn't do that assignment until yesterday. It's just who I am. Catastrophizing. I really want to be a counselor, but I'll never get to. Not good enough. So that's just a quick example of some of the cognitive distortions that might be represented in CBT, and I thank you for listening to Therapist Theory Talk at the Table. I'm out. What brings you in today?
Well, we seem to be having a little trouble at home.
Okay. Would you like to talk about it?
Well, you tell them.
Well, I just said that we wanted to try to make a decision about retirement, and with Ted living at home, that kind of complicates our decision.
So it's complicated because Ted is living at home with you.
Well, yeah, and we plan to downsize and sell our home.
Okay.
So,
That was part of the plan, and he's
yeah,
kind of
so
prohibiting that.
well, not necessarily. We love having him, but I know he's just there temporarily. So, but anyways, he knows.
It's a lot of work, though.
It's a lot of work.
He doesn't do his own laundry. Doesn't cook. But I do love him, and we are helping him out.
Do you want to say anything? Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. Sounds like there might be some tension about the present situation going on here. One of the things that I want to do with us today is kind of go through our basic needs and just do a quick assessment to kind of gauge where we're at. So we can kind of have some talking points where we can maybe figure out what choices we have available to us today. Does that sound okay for everybody? Okay, and you guys have some markers, and maybe you can do it on your own, but we've got love and belonging, power, fun, freedom, and survival. And on a low to high scale, you can go ahead and just fill out where you think you're at in that. Okay. Yeah. Just take a couple
I
minutes.
like the green one.
Well, fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, you could do 1 to 10,
I
or
want to rate all 5 of them.
yeah,
We're supposed to say how we feel.
yeah, where you'd say you're at today, just on that scale. How was that exercise for everyone?
Confusing.
Okay,
Eye-opening.
eye-opening,
Yeah.
confusing.
I thought it was help define where we are.
Do you guys want to go ahead and share? And you don't have to share all of them, but maybe if you found on your scale one that you'd like to work on to increase, and you don't have to say why, but you could just say, power is feeling really high for me, but my fun level is really, really low. So, yeah. Do you guys want to? Does anyone want to start?
Love,
Power,
power.
fun, freedom, survival.
Well, I found that most of mine are on the low end, except for on survival, and that's in the middle.
Okay. So you found that a lot of them were low.
It's funny. Most of mine are high, except for the fun. And I was a little confused. Is that a trick question?
No, that's one of the basic needs that we have as humans.
As in, am I having fun in life now, or am I having fun now?
That's a good question.
Tricky.
Yeah, tricky.
Trick question.
This assessment could kind of take a look at your present situation, maybe not the present at this moment, but
Is fun mean pleasure or happiness?
yeah,
or
it could be pleasure, recreation, things that bring you joy, things like that.
I see.
Would you say more like how happy are you?
Um,
More than your fun?
It could mean that. It's more. I think it's more.
Or enjoyment?
Yeah, of
Recreation,
an
fun.
enjoyment and need. You could definitely use it as happy, but this scale specifically is not rating your emotions as much as you feel like your choices and your situation.
Well, so maybe mine are a little low, because I feel like my choices are a little low right now. Having, extra people in the house, and then somebody retiring, so now I have another person 24/7 in the house, and what.
Or you don't have very much
We
freedom.
live here too.
What? Yes,
So you won't have the freedom that you used to have.
yes, this is
So
true.
maybe
Free
freedom
time.
is something that we could maybe work on for you today.
Yeah.
Okay. Ted, what about you? Was there one that you found you wanted to work on?
I thought she'd have plenty of freedom because we'd be able to watch the dogs. She could just do whatever she wanted.
That's true.
Okay, well, what about for you? Is there one on the scale that you're wanting to look at today?
Yeah, because I feel like you're ganging up on me, two of you against me.
He seems pretty
You
happy.
should just look at your own self.
I feel pretty okay. What's the list again?
Love, belonging, power, fun, freedom, and survival?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, what?
They all sound pretty good.
You're finding yourself high in all of those?
Yeah, maybe not. Man, now that I think about it, the love and belonging might not be the top of the list anymore, but
Why?
I know
Because
they-
we
I know
want you
they
to
will.
find a place of your own.
Ryan, what about for you?
Well, I'm pretty happy with our situation. I feel loved and belong. I feel that I am in power in the sense that we have choices to make, and we just have choices to make.
Okay.
So it takes away our fun because we are involved in making decisions, and we might have more obligations with more people. And I might let my son borrow the car to do errands, and then I don't have a car to do my own errands. So that could cut into my freedom too, but I link freedom and power together. So I have freedom to make my own choices, and I'm empowered to do that. So I don't feel hindered by it. I think it's a challenge. We have some decisions to make, and we have to go through the process to make those decisions, whatever that might be. Survival, I feel real high. I'm doing great.
Well, thanks so much for each of you to share that with me, and hopefully one of the tools that I'd like to use today is taking a look at our wants, the direction that we want to go, evaluation of where we're at. So that's a little bit with the assessment, and then make a plan for what we want to do. And this is something, since we're in a group setting, it might take up a lot of time to go through that individually with each of you. And so there might be some homework involved after the session today for you to reflect on some of those aspects. And if there's conversations that need to happen after that, you can either come back and we could do it in another session, or if you feel able to start to make some choices on your own and have those conversations at home, that would be okay too. So, one of the other days, relationships and habits. On this scale here, we've got 7 caring habits and 7 deadly habits. And I'm going to just read through the list and have you guys kind of think about the ones that maybe you're employing right now or feeling like you're doing well, and maybe some that are not doing situation. Okay, so number 1, we have supporting, encouraging, listening, accepting, trusting, respecting, negotiating differences. And in the deadly category, we have criticizing, blaming, complaining, nagging, I can't read upside down, threatening, punishing, to